Salvete omnes! Today we are here to talk about the present participle in Latin. So let us get started. So the present participle, or all participles, are verbal adjectives. So as an adjective, they agree with a noun or a pronoun in case, number, and gender. But because they're also verbal, they have tense, so they're present, future, perfect, and voice, active or passive. So today we're learning the present active participle. So this is like running, throwing, crying, moving, right? We're normally going to translate this with an ing into English, right? So let's just jump in and look at some examples in Latin. So our first sentence, vir ducens legionem clarus est. Vir ducens legionem clarus est. The man leading the legion is famous. So the man leading, that's our ing word, ducens, the legion is famous, right? So ducens is our present active participle. It is nominative, masculine, and singular. So that's how we know that it is agreeing with vir, and it's present and it's active, right? Which is how we know to say leading. So in our next sentence, we'll look at the present participle used in a different case. So vir legionem praetereuntem clarus ducet. Vir legionem praetereuntem clarus ducet. Vir legionem praetereuntem clarus ducet. So a famous man leads the passing legion, or the famous man leads the passing legion, right? The legion that is passing by. So here, praetereuntem agrees with legionem. Now that we've seen them in action, how do we form and decline a present active participle? So to form the nominative, we will add in s to the present stem. And what is very nice is that this is how we will form the masculine feminine and the neuter form. The masculine feminine forms will be the same. So for all other forms, we will add in t to the present stem plus the third declension endings. And we'll see there's just a slight modification of that to deal with third IO or mixed conjugation verbs, but it's really very slight. So all present participles, present active participles, will decline like third declension I stem nouns, so like engens, except in the ablative singular, which will end in E, right? So this means they'll be just like we might expect for third declension noun. The ablative singular for the masculine feminine and neuter will end in E instead of I. So the genitive plural will be IUM. And then when we go to the neuter, the nominative and accusative plural will be IA. Right, so it will still have IUM in the genitive plural, but the nominative and the nominative and accusative neuter plural will be IA instead of just A, right? So just like a third declension I stem, except the ablative singular is E. What's really wonderful is that all present participles are formed and decline regularly, except for eoire. So eoire has the nominative ians, and then every other form uses an E to start with. So it goes from ians to euntis, eunti, euntim, eunte, and so on. So from there, it's just perfectly normal. We just have to get the nominative ians and then the genitive switching to euntis. So why don't we just run through a couple, just make sure we feel good about it. We can look at paro parare, to prepare. Here we see the nominative singular for masculine and feminine is parans. And then for the genitive, we go to paransis, paransi, parantem, parante, parantes, parantium, parantibus, parantes, parantibus. So if we want to just be real thorough and have a look at the neuter, we can see that it's pretty similar, right? Except for we have the accusative singular parans, and then for the nominative and accusative plural, parantia, right? So parans, paransis, paransi, parans, parante, parantia, parantium, parantibus, parantia, parantibus. So why don't we look at second conjugation verb, moneo, monere, to warn. And we notice it's just what we expect. Monens, monensis, monensi, monentem, monente, monentes, monentium, monentibus, monentes, monentibus. And of course, the neuter, we're going to have just a slight change for the accusative, accusative singular, which must match the nominative singular, and again, the nominative and accusative plural, which will change their ending to ia, right? Monencia. Third conjugation, again, we have no big changes. Rego, regere, to rule, right? And here, once again, we see regens, regensis, and then from there, it's just conjugating exactly as we would imagine. And the same thing is true of the neuter, right? We have just those small changes in the accusative singular and the nominative and accusative plural. Now here we'll look at capio capere, our third IO or mixed conjugation. And here we notice that we are adding IE to the stem, right? So instead of just taking the infinitive and cutting the RE off, that we have to add that IE. So capiens, capiensis, capiensi, capientem, capiente, capientes, capientium, capientibus, capientes, capientibus, right? So just a teeny tiny little change of adding the, making sure that we have I and E, right? And this will be true for all third IO. And then, of course, just being thorough and looking at the neuter, we see we've got the same stem that we're working with. We just have, the changes for the accusative singular and the nominative and accusative plural. So here we see that we have the same thing when we turn our attention to the fourth conjugation, that once again, we're going to have IE. So here we're just making sure we notice that we have the I and the E together. So audiens, audiensis, audiensi, audientem, audiente, audientes, audientium, audientibus, audientes, audientibus. And of course, just being thorough and looking at the neuter, right? Once again, we're noticing that we have the same thing that we would expect. We have the IE, but we've got the accusative audiens, and then the nominative and accusative plural audiencia. Here looking at ire, just being really thorough, we notice we've got iens, eunsis, eunci, euntem, eunte, euntes, euntium, euntibus, euntes, euntibus, right? So we're only having that irregular form in the nominative singular. Now when we come to the neuter, we will see, of course, we've got iens once again in the accusative, because the nominative and accusative neuter are always the same. So we have iens, eunsis, eunci, iens, eunte, euncia, euncium, euncibus, euncia, euncibus. That is the present participle in Latin. Very common, and as you can see, not terribly difficult. So, see you next time. Valete!